lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels slow, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
It was a great and entertaining night in the Lone Star State last week, for round number 7 of the Sim Racers Edge season. But here we come out west to the desert here in Phoenix for Phoenix Raceway for round number 8 of season number 3. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me tonight is my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. Tony, a great race last week. We're going short track racing here. First time, once again, since season 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Phoenix always leads to some amazing racing, mostly because of that front stretch, and there's absolutely nowhere to hide should anything pop off coming off turn 4.
Yep, it is going to be a very difficult night for these guys, especially now that this time around, unlike last time, this time around they do not have the open. They have the open dog leg this time. Pardon me, as we see Chris Samard crossing the line to complete his first lap of qualifying. It'll put him at a 20.176 on that first lap. So Samard goes to the top. Michael Bourne, Dale Weiser also completing laps. Carl Burke goes up to the top and is quickly supplanted by Mike Sturgill, still remaining one of the hottest drivers in the series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sturgill's been on a tear the last couple of weeks, running towards the front from the drop of the green to the checkered coming out, provided a dumpster fire doesn't happen near him and he gets caught up in someone else's mistake.
Carl Burke jumping up to P3 on his second lap. Jose Viguera, 5th quickest on his first lap. And you can see there on Viguera's lap, the open dog leg is going to be in effect tonight, going all the way down to the wall. If you remember back to season 1, they had the closed dog leg. They had the cones there to where you couldn't go all the way down. That's not going to be the case here tonight. These guys are going to have a lot of room down the back.
Yeah, but the only problem that leads to is, you can get a 3 and 4 wide situation and not realize it until it's too late and you're already picking the car out of the wall with a wrecker.
Ronnie Osmer puts down an absolute flyer, just a shade over 20 seconds. So Osmer goes to the top on his second lap. Here comes Butch Davis in the 43, the man who had set the quickest time in the practice session at a 19.934, same time that Michael Sturgill did. First lap will put him up into P6, so a solid first lap for Davis. Notice he didn't take the cut on the first lap. He's going to on the second one, though.
Oh, absolutely. You kind of have to at this point, But the other thing you got to be careful of using that open dog leg is it's very easy to unsettle the car going through that transition back onto the actual racing portion of the surface. And a lot of debris and junk ends up down there. So, what's to say that your tires aren't going to be dirty as all get out, like you just came out of the grass at another track, trying to make your way back out onto the racing surface. So you kind of have to tiptoe there a little bit.
Butch Davis goes up to P3. Chad Simpson completes his first lap up into P7. Chris Walker P9 on his first attempt. Jeffrey Roulette bumped down to 11th. As we'll see Chris Walker complete his lap. Walker, personal best on both ends of the racetrack, goes 4th. Chad Simpson goes quickest at a 22nd even lap. So the 42 looks to be in very good shape here going into this race.
Actually, your timing and scoring is just a tick off. That was a 19.995 for Simpson.
Seeing it up there now on the screen is, I believe that was Mike Grandy who clipped the wall coming out of turn 2. So that second lap will be invalidated. Here's Yari Brupatcher with 40 seconds to go. 17th on his first lap for the Swiss native in the 89. Goes all the way down to that inside wall. And just as you were mentioning, Tony, the banking there on that back straightaway is not gentle to these cars when they go to take the cut on that dog leg.
No, absolutely. I mean, we see it all the time on speedways. You touch the apron and the car wants to swap ends. Similar thing when you're trying to come back back onto the track from taking that shallow dog leg, and it's just got disaster written all over it.
It certainly does. As qualifying session has come to a close, so it will be Chad Simpson leading the way here tonight as we get set to jump on into this warm-up session here. As we'll take a look now at the point standings going into tonight. That's the team standings. Well, we'll start with the team standings. Why not? FBR with a very good run at Texas, finishing first and third. Starting to open up the gap on VSM a little bit after VSM had such a good run, closing that gap down. Voodoo Racing jumping RDR, and Outback Motorsports jumping Jawbone Motorsports over this last race.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you listened to the interview that we did with Butch Davis after that race, he was spent. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you it's going to be a similar thing here tonight at Phoenix.
It is a very small and physical racetrack, and with that win last week at Phoenix, that was able to move Butch Davis not into second, but a lot closer than what he was prior. Chad Simpson still the points leader at 208 points. Chris Samard able to close the gap a little bit, 187 points for him. Butch Davis 6 points behind in that third position. Mike Sturgill, after missing last week, falls quite a bit as Jeffrey Roulette and Jeffrey Bogan swap positions in the top 5. So this championship battle still very close as we enter the second half of the season.
Oh, very much so. I mean, this is really where if you've got anything left in the tank, burn it now, because this next handful of races is going to be basically murderer's row, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, we have a couple of very tight racetracks that are going to be coming up here on the schedule over the next couple of weeks. WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca coming your way next week, and then Twin Ring Motegi will be after that, just before the second to last off week of the season. So a nice little month of racing before we close out this season, as these guys are in the warm-up session right now, as mentioned. As we'll take a look at Johnny Antonucci circulating this racetrack, currently running in the ninth position in that Firestone number 13.
Yeah, Antonucci's one of those drivers that he's due for some good luck finally. Another one currently sitting atop of the pile on the leaderboard, Carl Burke, has had nothing but just horrid luck the last couple of weeks, almost month worth of racing.
Absolutely, and he's about to re-enter the racing surface there on a get-up-to-speed lap. I believe that's Mike Grandy behind him, or coming into pit road now. As with 2 minutes left here in the session, would like to remind you that having just started over on the second stream of the night is the Endurance for Amateurs Series, round number 2 there at Okayama. A big field for the season opener at Canadian Tire. Looks like it is going to be more of the same at Okayama starting just now. Coming up tomorrow, the Thursday night doubleheader, the TNT Truck Series will come to you live, the second to last race of the season. That will be from Talladega Super Speedway at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And then it'll be the DOB Twin Killing. The 410 Sprint Series will be at Kokomo starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then the Big Block Modifieds will follow immediately after that at Eldora for round number 4 of their season. And again, big fields, big fields for the DOB. I believe we counted 40 plus drivers that showed up for both races last week. A great sign for those guys. As the coming up on Friday, the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series will take place at Talladega at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time this Friday night. And that will pretty much wrap it up for us this week here on ESPN. So still a nice little slate of races still left to go this week as we hit 30 seconds left on the warm-up clock.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just a minor change that people need to be made aware of. It'll be actually me and Ben in the booth tomorrow night for the DOB series races. Brian, unfortunately, not able to be available tomorrow night, so I will be stepping into his shoes and joining Ben Bruno in the booth for that one.
I'm sure it will be a fun and entertaining night, as I know dirt is more your forte, and that's where you will be, and it'll leave me with a mystery partner or no partner for that TNT race at Talladega. But as we get set to go here tonight, let's take a look at the grid for tonight's race. And sitting on the pole with a time of a 19.995, Chad Simpson takes his first pole of the season since the opening race at Michigan. So a good sign for Chad Simpson. He won that season opener at Michigan, his only win this season, and it came from the pole. He has Ronnie Osmer lining up to his outside in row number 1. Row 2 goes to Michael Sturgill and Butch Davis. Chris Walker and Chris Samard making up row 3. Carl Burke and Kevin O'Brien will make up row 4, with Dan Brazington and Jeffrey Bogan slotting in row 5. Jeffrey Roulette and Mike Grandy will round out row number 6.
Yari Burpatcher and Michael Bourne going to roll off in row 7. Row 8 gives us Will Fletcher and Timmy Bates. Johnny Antonucci and Jose Viguera start in row 9, with row 10 going to Dale Weiser and Mark McFadden. Weiser, the last one to post a time in the qualifying session. Mark McFadden, Ernie Ludwig, and Shane Loveridge going to be lined up via iRatings.
And for the first time in quite some time this season, we'll see 2 representatives for Jawbone Motorsports on the grid here tonight as the field gets out onto the racing surface. Yeah, Jawbone Motorsports, McFadden and Ludwig.
Oh, yeah.
So for the first, so we'll see these guys take, I believe it's 2.
1.
No, it is just 1 warm-up lap here. As we see the track temperature 83 degrees tonight here, it will be a cool and grippy night of racing as they come out of quarter number 4 here at Phoenix Raceway. 186 laps. We're green.
Ronnie Osmer getting a great jump on that outside lane as Chad Simpson was a little bit hesitant to roll into the throttle. Side by side, and there goes Sturgill down to the apron, going through the dog leg. Osmer with the nose out front going into 3, and sideways for Osmer into the wall.
Oh, yep, that was a big watch out. Osmer still not done wrecking. And that will put an end to his night prematurely. Is there somebody else? I believe that's Shane Loveridge.
Yes, it was.
Who's down at the bottom of the racetrack. Damaged as well in the 72. Surprisingly, no caution, as both Osmer and Loveridge have their machines rolling.
A lot of damage on both those cars, though. It's going to be an uphill battle to make anything happen for the remainder of the night. As they seem to have gotten it sorted out, as Simpson with a huge lead over his teammate Butch Davis. Chris Walker now slugging it out with Mike Sturgill. Walker currently sitting in the 3rd spot. Sturgill wants it back.
Chris Walker +2 from where he started. Same with Butch Davis, as Sturgill has fallen down to 4th with Osmer in pit road. Same thing with Shane Loveridge, currently down pit road. Now, also worth noting here tonight, these guys are on the the road course spec of cars. Bigger rear wing, more intricate front wing. Give these guys a lot more grip through the corners here.
Well, this is generally what they refer to as the short track setup anyways, where, it doesn't have the tiny speedway wing like you would see on anything 1.5 miles and bigger. But once you go under 1.5 miles, they put the larger rear wing and the larger front wing on so that these guys don't die going into turn 1.
As we see Mike Sturgill trying to keep his teammate Chris Samard behind him. Samard coming up incredibly close last week at Texas, missing out by about 21 thousandths of a second from claiming what would have been his first win of the season. Instead, it was Butch Davis claiming his second in a race that 43 dominated, and Simard right now holding firm, holding station, running in that top 5 position.
I got to think that Sturgill and Simard both, they don't have the same weight jacker and roll bar set going on that the cars in front of them do. It's just, you can see it, just how settled even Chris Walker's car is. As he's almost a second to the good over Sturgill right now.
A little bit further back, this will battle for the final spot in the top 10. That's Mike Grandy occupying the 10th position, trying to take 9th away from Dan Brazington. And you can see with how much grip these cars have and how much downforce they have and how important it is to keep them wound up. Typically, you would see Cup cars down on the bottom at the yellow line around here. These drivers taking that wider line up near the wall. That is where these guys feel more comfortable, and that is the faster line for the race.
And the other thing to be take note of, there's not a lot of guys using that open dogleg right now. Most of the guys are staying above that yellow portion, going through that but Carl Burke proves me wrong there, but he still didn't use all of it. So these guys are kind of riding right now, seeing what this first tire stint is going to do. Is we've got 186 laps to for the total of this race. We've only got 11 of them in the books at this point.
There's Carl Burke taking that line. Jeffrey Bogan, I believe, right behind him, taking that line as well. As we'll see that line used more, I believe, once, say, if Grandy's close enough here, I'm sure he'll take that line to try to get down under the 29. But again, with that outside line being the advantage in that flatter turn 3, it's really not all that advantageous to take that line, as here goes Grandy to the inside in 3 and 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Grandy's had success here in the past. Don't ever count him out on a short track. And I say that term loosely, considering that in some series this would be considered a big track. But as far as Indy cars go, this is going to be one of the shortest racing circuits that we're going to visit at all. I would highly doubt that this series would ever go to anything smaller than 1 mile.
Mike Grandy, we do know he does have success here. However, it is not in this series. First and only race here at Phoenix he did not participate in, as we see Ronnie Osmer coming back into pit road. Now, he came out of pit lane about 5 or 6 laps ago and then has jumped back onto the racetrack. He is now coming back down pit road after that big slide and into the wall coming out of turn 4 that he had earlier on tonight.
Safe to assume that Osmer really damaged the right side suspension on that car with that hit into the safer barrier. And luckily, it didn't just shoot him down the track like we've seen so many other times since the latest physics update came out for iRacing.
You saw Shane Loveridge, just an innocent bystander there.
Osmer's on the hauler.
Yep. So Ronnie Osmer done after 16 laps and a bad start, not able to complete the first lap after starting on the outside of the front row. Just pushing a little bit too hard on cold tires, and that's something that is incredibly easy to do, especially around here.
Very much so, but we still have 19 cars left on the lead lap. And little note of interest here, Yari Brupatcher and Jose Bagheera both electing to pit start this event.
Yes, they did, as here's Brupatcher sitting just behind Ernie Ludwig in the 26. Trying to go around the outside of Ludwig and will successfully. Now that is Shane Loveridge ahead of him. Loveridge back on the racetrack a multitude of laps down. The other driver not on the lead lap is Michael Bourne, who is currently in pit road, as Mike Sturgill puts on a pretty good fight for third position, but is unable to make the position stick.
Now, we saw Sturgill go down onto that apron going through the dog leg in the opening lap, but since then he's not dipped 2 tires below that yellow line, as he's trying to figure out what he's got to do now to reel Walker in. And there he goes.
Trying to see what little advantage that he can gain no matter where it may come. As Sturgill with a really good run coming out of turn number 4. He's going to try to make the move going into turn 1 now, but that outside line keeping Chris Walker wound up, able to hold the position.
And that's exactly what Sturgill did going through 3 and 4. He used that outside lane to get the run down the front chute. The only problem is he wasn't close enough to Walker to make the move stick going through 1 and 2.
Front chute, which is now the back straightaway here, as the front straightaway is about right here as we ride on board with Michael Sturgill.
So they turned this track into a cookie cutter. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so Sturgill still maintaining position behind Chris Walker, a little bit further beyond him. A battle here towards the back. This is for 13th position. Will Fletcher on the outside has it. Dale Weiser in the 24 on the inside wants it, as Weiser will duck down to the dog leg trying to cut up in front, and he will make the pass work, and that's why having that open dog leg here tonight can be an advantage. You can make a run to get up in front of somebody you're battling side by side with, but you do actually have to get in front of them. Otherwise, what just happened there will happen to you every time.
Absolutely. Is Mike Grandy and Jeff Bogan starting to throw haymakers at each other. Grandy seems to have backed off just a little bit, as Bogan is really using that dog leg. One of the few on track right now that's really throwing it down there.
Riding on board now with Bogan. Looking just over his left shoulder. Seeing just how difficult it can be around this place. And with Mike Grandy that close behind him, he's certainly having to work as Grandy gets a great run. Grandy goes for the dive. And Grandy, at least for the moment, looks as though he has the position. And yes, he certainly does, as Bogan just does not have the run on corner entry that he would have needed to stave off the charge.
Well, I think it messed him up that Grandy went down to the apron of the dog leg that time, as Kevin O'Brien did as well. Here comes Bogan again, and O'Brien right in his slipstream, move for move, and O'Brien to the inside going through 3 and 4.
It's very nice to see, because it's something that we don't see all that often, is that 84 of Kevin O'Brien actually making passes and working his way up through the field. We're used to seeing him as one of those guys that's more than content with picking off positions as guys around him start to fall away. Kevin O'Brien racing very aggressively, at least by his standards tonight, making his way up through the field. He started 8th, he's in 9th, but typically by this time we're used to seeing him towards the very back of the field.
Well, O'Brien's usually one of those guys that uses the old adage, the best defense is a good offense. Or no,
that's right.
Well, no, he usually drives very defensively. Not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, he
possibly a course cut going through 3 and 4 as he was down below that yellow.
He had a moment. Going out of turn 4. I think it just took him a second to gather the car back up as he allows Dan Brazington and Jeffrey Roulette through. So that will bump O'Brien from 9th down to 11th spot. And now he can get back on the charge again, as here comes Dan Brazington looking for that 8th spot from Jeffrey Bogan. Can't quite get the move done before going into 3. Going to have to put up the charge going into 1.
Absolutely, but getting back to Kevin O'Brien, he usually drives very defensively, but I think he's under the impression now that the best defense is a good offense, and he's doing whatever he can. As here comes Jeff Roulette to the inside on Brazington, as they are side by side going through 3 and 4.
Roulette had a very good run coming out of turns 1 and 2, took that momentum, tried to make the pass, as Mark McFadden, a lap car, starting to jump up in front of these guys, as Chris Walker and Mike Sturgill battle side by side, this being for the third spot, pardon me.
Yeah, absolutely. That battle is far from over. And Brasington, he's got to stay closer to Walker than he has been. He's also got to be careful because he's got his teammate right behind him in tow. But he's getting such a great run on that second lane coming through 3 and 4 that he's able to pressure Walker like this. But the only thing is, Chris Walker, they don't call him the Iceman for nothing.
Well, he had an attempt. It almost got picked off there by his teammate, Ronnie Osborne. Now he can use the lap
Chris
car
Smart.
of Jose Viguera as a pick going through 3 and 4 on that outside line. Viguera is going to hold line, staying right in front of Chris Walker. Now going to try to make the dive. Nope, he's going to stay on that outside line. That'll hand the position finally over to Mike Sturgill as Chris Simard looking to follow through on the inside line and will follow through as the 23 of Walker cannot find a way around Jose Viguera.
Yeah, in basketball they would call that a pick move or pick and roll, and the boys from VSM using it to perfection. As hot and heavy for 8th place right now between Brasington and Bogan. As Bogan on the high side, Brasington on the inside, and they are just trading punches with each other right now.
Absolutely are. As Dan Brasington not going to have that run coming out of turn 4. There's the 6 of Tim Bates, who's now interjected himself into this battle. Look at the run that Bates is getting here, and that 6 goes right around Roulette in turns 3 and 4, and then slings right around Brasington in 1 and 2.
It's that progressive banking in 1 and 2 that is really helping these guys that are going up to that second lane. You can see right there, Bates was able to gain on Bogan on the exit of 1 and 2, and now sets his sights on trying to pass that Tequila Patron number 21.
For the first time tonight, we have a genuine battle for the race lead here as Chad Simpson now coming under heavy fire from his teammate Butch Davis. As Davis goes to the outside, and Davis will take the lead coming off of 4. So for the first time this entire race, 42 and 43 swap positions.
And kind of Chad Simpson's MO. If he's out front, he'll lead a couple of laps, and then he'll go into fuel conservation mode and tire conservation mode, and get a couple more laps out of a tank of fuel than most of the other guys that he's racing around.
Now
11th.
Butch Davis.
Bogan's in.
Yep, Jeffrey Bogan is in pit road. We see that right here. There is the 21 Tequila Patron machine. Dan Brasington still able to stay in front of Jeffrey Roulette, as, my goodness, Tim Bates has just up and left these guys. He's already put 1.2 seconds on those guys. He was just battling about 3 or 4 laps ago.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely hungry for some better finishes than the tail of the tape would lead you to believe, because he's had good cars all season. The only problem is he's been caught up in other people's mistakes, and that's what he's got to be mindful of tonight, as Simard starting to pressure his teammate Sturgill for 3rd.
Yep, and then with that, Sturgill also starting to pressure Chad Simpson for that 2nd position. So things starting to fall VSM's way after FBR have had it their way for the first 50 laps of this race. Chris Walker now bringing it down pit road in the 23. So this could be the start of the pit cycle here. Yep, and Mike Sturgill in as well. So the pit cycle has begun here at Phoenix.
So they're currently working lap 48. So you got to think that, let me double check here. Well, 81% fuel fill. So Simard loops it going into pit road.
Yep, does do the big slide. He will get into pit road. I'm not sure if that'll be an unsafe entry or not, as Carl Burke files into pit road just behind him, but that's going to be a big time killer for Chris Simard in the number 77, as this is what happened to him on his way into pit road.
Now, something to also be mindful of, during the warm-up session, there are only 2 drivers that I saw that were practicing green flag pit stops. one being Chris Walker and the other one being Kevin O'Brien.
Butch Davis slides it as well, coming through 3 and 4 from the race lead. As Butch Davis comes down pit road, Mike Grandy, Dan Brazington, Chad Simpson all in on that last lap. While we were watching the replay of what happened to Simard, here comes Sturgill to get one of his laps back. You're going to go a couple laps down on the pit cycle around here. Just the nature of how, the nature of pit road and how quick this racetrack is for these cars. As that will give Tim Bates the race lead. He comes into pit road. Jeffrey Roulette very close to follow, as now that will hand the lead over to the 24 of Dale Weiser, who's about to get passed by Mike Sturgill to get Sturgill back on the lead lap.
And the thing is, these guys are going to have to be mindful. There's a lot of dirt on the apron all the way around this track right now. It's a very sandy surface, and especially on worn-out tires, you really need to be careful. As Simard all over the back bumper of Davis right now, that is a battle for 5th.
Ernie Ludwig now in the race lead. There is that effective battle for the 5th position, as boy, Butch Davis, Chris Simard, Chad Simpson all running incredibly close to each other. The biggest winners out of this are the guys that came into pit the earliest. Michael Sturgill is going to cycle through as the race leader here. As Ernie Ludwig takes it to pit road, he'll have the race lead this time around. Chris Walker, who came into pit first on lap 46, is going to be running in the 2nd spot. So the longer you wait, the further you fall.
Absolutely, because the tire fall off here is just ridiculous. Almost 2 full seconds per lap between fresh tires and worn out tires. And we're under caution. Will Fletcher, it looks like.
Yep, it does. There's the 28 of Will Fletcher. We'll try to get a look at him here, as I believe he's already towed it. Let's take a look and see what happened to Will. It's coming off of turn 2, and I think he's just going to pull over and stop on the entry to 3, and I think he sat there a little bit too long before iRacing was able to throw that caution. Yep, nothing appears to be wrong with that 28. He just pulls over and stops.
So now the question is, these guys were just down pit road. What happened to Sturgill?
Yeah, that's right. Sturgill in pit road. You see that left rear bouncing on the back end of the 90, and the rear wing is straight up falling off that car.
Go back to lap 55.
Yeah, we'll take a look and see here. This is what happened to the race leader, Mike Sturgill, just as the caution was coming out. Caution's already out here. Holds up for the pace car, and Mark McFadden didn't quite get the memo. Now, at that point for Sturgill,
you wrap a torque wrench around somebody's skull in the pits after the race.
well, no, that's not where I was going with that. At that point on pit exit, when the pace car is that far out of pit exit, typically it'll tell you to wait for the pace car to pass instead of forcing you to go all the way around again. And that's exactly what happened with Sturgill. So Sturgill was just doing what the sim had told him to do. And like I said, McFadden just did not get it quick enough. Tried to react and was just a little too late on his reaction. Runs over the back of the 90 of Sturgill, as Chris Walker now will be handed the race lead.
And I dare say Sturgill's night is probably done from here.
I believe
it completely ripped the left side pod off the car. He had to change the rear wing, so we're not going to see the same speed in the 90 that we saw prior to the caution coming out.
That whole left rear fender of the 90 is off of that car. It took a little bit of the side pod with it as well. As you see, it took most of the side pod with it as well on that number 90. And typically those rear wing clips are not easy and not a quick repair. As Sturgill coming into pit road now, we'll see. No, the steering is straight on that 90, so he might be looking for fresh tires and as much fuel as he possibly can to try to get whatever advantage that he could possibly have over the rest of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a heartbreaker right there. And that puts the entirety of the VSM team score onto Chris Simard's shoulders right now, as he currently sits in third in a VSM, the VSM shoulders. You know what I mean?
Carl Burke is right up. Carl Burke is right up there in sixth as well, so he does have a little bit of teammate help up towards the front.
That's right. I'm sorry, Carl. Sorry.
But two of the four drivers no longer running here tonight, and that would be Ronnie Osmer and Mike Sturgill. Sturgill is still on track as we go back to Green Flag Racing here at Phoenix. Chris Walker with a great jump. Gets about a half a second ahead of Chad Simpson as these guys begin to duke it out yet again. Kevin O'Brien looking to the inside of Dale Weiser for position. That's for ninth.
Yeah, absolutely. O'Brien is being more aggressive tonight than we've seen in a long time out of him, as Simard now playing duck and peek around Chad Simpson's rear wing. And Simard with a little bit better run coming off of 2. Use that slightly higher line to carry a little more speed. Let's see what happens through 3 and 4. Simpson defends the high line, forces Simard down to the low line, and that's just going to kill all of his speed.
I think the only saving grace right now for Mike Sturgill is that he's still on the lead lap, number 1. And number 2, this is not necessarily a power racetrack the way you would think of Texas last week or Michigan. So he does have a half a puncher's chance. It's not a whole puncher's chance, but he does have a half a puncher's fight here tonight with that car, as mangled and as damaged as it is, as Carl Burke now starting to put Mike Grandy under pressure, who in turn is giving that pressure to Butch Davis in front of him in fourth.
Yeah, absolutely. Grandy looks to the inside going through 3 and 4. And I think Davis and Simpson have this track figured out. That second lane is where you want to be to defend. And, Davis using all of turn 1 to try to, round that corner out or square it off as much as he can to make sure he can carry as much speed as possible. As Sturgill is definitely off pace right now.
3 wide battle there between Dan Brazington, Tim Bates, Kevin O'Brien, Dale Weiser also in the mix, as Weiser goes to the inside and takes that 12th position away from Kevin O'Brien, as O'Brien's starting to fall towards the back. Dan Brazington now coming under pressure from Tim Bates in the 6th, who really had a great run going on the long run. So Bates is going to be one of those guys tonight, it appears. Keep this race green, and that 6 will be quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bates is one of the best tire savers in the league. So the longer this run stays green and the more green flag pit stops we get, the more he's going to claw his way forward. Not a real shocker here, but Mark McFadden just put it on the hauler.
Tim Bates not having the greatest of nights last night at the Western States Racing League at Watkins Glen. Still a pretty solid night overall, as we had a great night of racing there at the Glen last night, as Chad Simpson still trying to keep Chris Simard behind him. A little tiny kiss of the wall going into turn 3 shouldn't do much of anything to that number 42.
No, absolutely not. But Simard's got to figure out a way to get Simpson to give up that second lane going through 3 and 4 if he's going to have any shot at him, because all he's doing right now, using that low lane through 3 and 4, is burning up his own tires. He'd be better off kind of just backing off just ever so slightly and get that run in the slingshot down the front straightaway.
Absolutely, as Simard still right in lockstep there with the 42. Looking a little bit further back, there is Butch Davis in the 53. He's closer to Mike Grandy than Jeffrey Roulette is to Butch. As Burke, as Burke having a solid run right now, running in the 6th position, started 7th, but having a very, very solid run in that number 53.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he could use this to turn his entire season around with a good finish here tonight. Carl Burke, one of the strongest competitors that we have here. The only problem is he's one of the worst luck drivers that we have here as well. Chances are if you see somebody spinning out, there's a good possibility that it's either someone has hit Kevin O'Brien or someone has hit Carl Burke. As battle for second, really hot and heavy right now. Simard with the nose out front as they haul it off into turn number 3. And they are coming up on the lap car of Sturgill. And
it's gonna
could Simard... Here we go.
It's going to end up being Simard taking the position. There he goes. As Simpson's not going to have any form of luck behind that 90. As Sturgill doing exactly what he needed to do, staying up and out of the way, but in that helps his teammate in the 77 of Chris Simard take that position as Butch Davis will now go around the 90.
And again, that's a heartbreaker for the Ohio driver there, Mike Sturgill. Was leading the race and just got blasted under caution.
Yep, and you can see all that damage there, missing the right rear fender on that number 90. Missing the side pod as well. Oh, yeah. So the left rear, yep, that's right, sorry.
And, you can actually see the radiator and, the intercooler for the turbo. And, I mean, we shouldn't be looking at those right now.
Yeah, no, there's running a little bit of a helmet cam action there for the 90 of Sturgill, and you can see all that damage on the right side of the machine. Well, he gets up into the wall there trying to let Roulette and Brupatcher go, as Dan Brazington now coming under some pretty serious fire from the 6 of Bates. As Bates now looking to the inside of Brazington. Brazington with that outside line momentum is able to keep the position, but only momentarily it would appear, as Bates has done an absolutely phenomenal job on the inside here all night tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. But Brazington gets a better run off of 4, and that's going to be the key to this race as we're back under caution. And Chris Walker,
yep. 23, there he is, down low there out of turn 2. Have to assume it was just a slip for Walker.
Caught the apron and won.
Yeah, that's what it...
Oi.
And that's out of the race lead for Chris Walker as well. Just gets a little low. Big contact with the wall, snapping that suspension. And boy, did Butch Davis get so close. And wow, Jeffrey Roulette as well. My goodness.
Yeah, that was a Code Brown moment for the driver of the 66. As Walker was trying to get to the apron to get out of the racing line, and cars were starting to slow down around him. And, another coat of paint, those guys would have been in trouble.
Well, and with that, I believe there was another incident of wrecking under caution, as I think Mike Grandy got pushed around by Carl Burke. See, coming around here, and yep, Carl Burke runs into the back of Mike Grandy. And same exact damage on the 12 as what was done to the 90. Broken left rear suspension and rear wing taken away.
That's something league admins are going to need to look at, because that's
second time in 2 cautions tonight.
These guys have been doing this long enough to know that you can't be doing that stuff.
And it's not the first time we've run a race this season, as Chad Simpson comes out behind Chris Simard. And what we'll do now is we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. We have just over 100 laps to go under our second caution of the night here at Phoenix Raceway. You're watching the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series right here on ESPN. Don't go anywhere. About to go back under green flag racing here at Phoenix Raceway, beginning lap number 83. Chris Simard takes the lead through the pit cycle, and we are back underway here at Phoenix as a big bunch of cars towards the back starting to fan out to try to gain as much position as possible.
It's Burke throwing it to the inside of Bates going through one. Burke finally wrestles the spot away. Now sets its sights on trying to reel in Dan Brasington, as these guys are just hot and heavy right now on fresh tires, trying to reel in as many spots as they possibly can. Walker was able to come back out of pit road, although he's now 3 laps down, as Bates with a big move coming through the dogleg.
And there is Bates down in front of Carl Burke in the number 53. Carl Burke only had to replace the front wing there on that number 53. And he is out and away again as Jeffrey Bogan now looks to the inside of him. Another little incident with Chris Walker under caution there as he's slowing down here, I believe having to stop to allow drivers to go through. And that is what triggered the incident there. And speaking of triggering incidents, I don't know how happy I would be about Chris Simard leading this race. The last 2 leaders have ended up wrecked.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but I'm wondering what happened to Butch Davis, as he was 24 seconds in his pit box.
Spent a minute total on pit lane, and you're right, twice as much time as even the slowest pit stops down pit road. May have had some damage to repair, may have had to just get up and readjust really quick. But either way, that 43 ended up towards the back, restarting in 12th. He's now fought his way back up to 8th, as I believe that is Mike Grandy coming back onto the racing surface. It is in the 12.
Yeah, after spending over 5 minutes in pit road to repair damage to that Voodoo Racing number 12. But
Carl Burke.
Something happened to Burke
now. Yep, he's in pit road. He'll pull off and stop. Does the 53, so he'll tow back to his pit box.
He drove back.
No, he drove into pit road and then towed from there.
And he's put it on the hauler.
Might have had some toe damage or alignment damage after hitting the back of the 12. Speaking of 12, only 12 cars on the lead lap right now. The only one that is one lap down right now is the 90 of Mike Sturgill.
And he's done yeoman's work to only stay one lap down. It's definitely a night he'd just as soon forget getting wrecked out of the lead. Same thing goes for Chris Walker. Walker currently sitting 3 laps down. It's a strange situation when you see in 2 consecutive cautions the leader get run flat over from behind.
That was Walker was leading and clipped the apron in 1 and 2.
That's right. Grandy was the one that got run over.
Yeah, it was Grandy that got hit.
As battle for 6 heating up, as Bogan's able to wrestle it away from Bates, and Butch Davis does the same. Bates losing 2 spots in 1 lap.
Butch Davis, very good run on that inside line, able to make that work as the raw pace of that STP number 43 comes out to play. Been seeing it all race, but now as he's gotten himself mired back in the midfield, starting to show a little bit. And this is one of those racetracks where even in a stock car, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, boy, it's a long night for you.
Very much so. And Frank, now that you are out of the D class in the dirt side of things,
I have not run one yet. I'll be honest. I have not run a dirt C class race yet.
But what I was about to tell you was, take the 410 wing sprint car here and tell me what you think.
Alrighty then. I'm sure it'll be dangerous.
Very much so.
As Chris Simard out in front has opened up a 1.7 second lead. As we take a look at what's coming up here on ESPN. Currently right now on our second stream, it is the Endurance for Amateurs series running round number 2 of their season at Okayama International Circuit. A big field at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is carried over to round number 2. So after we're done here, be sure to tune in over there to catch the final couple of minutes of that race. It was great action all throughout at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park last week. Coming up tomorrow will be another doubleheader. It'll be the TNT Truck Series from Talladega, the second to last race of the season for those guys as they head to their second super speedway race of the season at Talladega. Then just after that at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, it'll be the DOB 410 Sprint Series. They will be at Kokomo, and then upon completion of the 410 Sprint Series, they will head over to the big blocks at Eldora Speedway starting at roughly 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And then to close out the week, it'll be the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series from Talladega. That will be at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the big question that's up in the air as to whether or not we will be doing the E-Formula debut of their Formula 3 series coming up on Saturday. And as things develop with that, we will keep you posted on what is going on with that series, as Ernie Ludwig and Jose Viguera having a battle to get into the top 10. Viguera in 10th. Ludwig wants it.
Yeah, absolutely. As Ludwig making his return to the series. And I have to say, Jose Viguera has been impressing me the last couple of weeks. We've really seen a turnaround in both his driving style and driving attitude as of late. He's not quite as aggressive as he used to be when he first started with the league. And because of that, he's able to save the car towards the end, and we're really seeing things happen as Tottenham for 5th between Brazenton and Bogan right now.
Was a little bit of a wild child was Viguera when he came in, but has certainly calmed that down and became a very solid racer for this series, as Brazenton, Bogan, and Davis battling for that 5th position. Brazenton just taking it away from Bogan right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Brazenton able to use that second lane to his advantage. Goes real high going through the dog leg. Not a big advantage for, well,
Bogan did take the position.
Proves me wrong there, as he just straightened out that dog leg and was able to wrestle that spot away. And now Brazenton has to deal with Butch Davis, who is hungry to get back up towards the front, just full send it mode going through one.
Davis makes that pass look fairly easily, and I think it was how wide Brazenton took that dog leg that allowed Bogan to get by so easily. As Bogan, for the first time tonight, up into the top 5, and speaking for being up as high as he is for the first time tonight, how about Yari Brubpatcher running in the 4th position, trying to take over 3rd away from Jeffrey Rolette, as those two try to stay away from the lap car of Sturgill.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to remember, Brubpatcher pit started. Mm-hmm. And it's hot and heavy.
Solidly takes that 3rd position.
Yeah, absolutely. It was hot and heavy for a second there between Dale Weiser and Tim Bates, as Weiser sitting in the 8th spot, and Bates was trying to wrestle it away from him, currently sitting in the number 9 slot. But yeah, I mean, these guys are just flat getting it right now.
Currently have 6 retirees here tonight. Ronnie Osmer done on lap 9 after a spin and a big collision with the outside wall in turn 4, damaged his machine on the opening lap. Johnny Antonucci done after 20 laps. Michael Bourne done after 21. William Fletcher done after 52 laps. We saw him bring out the first caution by pulling off and stopping on circuit. Mark McFadden, the birthday boy Mark McFadden, done after 53 laps, and then Carl Burke done after 87. Everybody else still on the racetrack, so 16 competitors still circulating this racetrack, as Jeffrey Bogan now has a wing mirror full of Butch Davis.
Absolutely. I didn't see which lap car they were going around there, but that was Sturgill, as Davis not a happy camper right now, as he gave up about 0.3 to Bogan on that whole exchange with Sturgill. And right now this field's starting to get a little strung out, and we're about 10 laps away from a green flag pit stop.
Not that far away, as we ride on board now with Butch Davis. He looks towards working his way back up again. Remember, he started back in the 12th position on this this green flag run here, so it's taken him all this time to get back up into just 6th position, as the top 2 looking pretty set right now, as Chris Simard currently leading this race, and that's big for his points ambitions, as he currently sits 21 points behind Chad Simpson. Now he's not going to be too thrilled with the fact that Simpson's currently sitting in 2nd, but still, points gained are points gained.
Absolutely, and Simpson, Simard, and Davis all have bonus points for laps led tonight. Mm-hmm. If Simard can maintain what he's got right now, he could get that extra bonus point for most laps led if he plays his cards right.
Tim Bates and Ernie Ludwig both going into pit road, as you saw flash at the top of the screen there. And Chad Simpson has been slowly reeling in Chris Simard, as we saw there on the graphic just a moment ago. Now he's going to lose a little bit of time there, now having to deal with lap traffic. Yari Brubpatcher 1.5 seconds behind Chad Simpson, currently running in the 3rd position. And for Brubpatcher, this could be a career day for him. Was very close to a win back at the season finale at Atlanta last season. Has finished no higher than 5th this season, which he's done twice. He did it last week at Texas and round 2 at Kansas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Yari is another one of those guys that if it wasn't for bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. It's Davis into the wall off of 4.
Take a look here as Butch Davis contact with that outside wall, and it doesn't look too severe for the pilot of the 43, but that certainly will knock him off his game a little bit. Doesn't appear to be any side pod damage on that 43, as that's Kevin O'Brien at the inside wall in the front stretch.
Well, when Davis hit the wall in turn 4, he didn't hit the safety barrier, he hit the concrete.
Still doesn't appear to be too bad for Davis, as now Brazington gets around him, and I think he has crippled that car just a little bit. We'll take a look and see. Yeah, there's a little bit of side pod damage. See it right there right pretty much dead center of your screen there. That little seam there in the side pod, there's the one that's supposed to be there, and then the one that's not. I think that's what's slowing him up as he comes down into pit road and spins it coming down into pit road.
And that's just pure frustration showing its head right there with Davis, hitting the brakes just a tick too hard, trying to get down under the commitment cone, and it just, you hate to see it, because that now leaves us with 7 drivers on the lead lap, with Dale Weiser in grave danger of going a lap down here before too much longer.
And that's 2 for 2 now for Butch Davis as far as sliding going on to pit road. So just taking a look here. And there's Brubpatcher on screen right now. Jari Brubpatcher, looking back through his Sim Racer's Edge career best finish of 5th, and that was 3 times he did that. He did that twice this season so far, like I said, at Kansas and at Texas last week, and then did that at Atlanta to close out season 2. He has not finished better than 5th in his SRE career, currently running in that 3rd position as we work lap 125 of lap 186.
And he would love to get his first podium here tonight at Phoenix.
Almost had it in that race at Atlanta, but him and Butch Davis in that incredible finish that handed Chad Simpson the win going through the final kink on the last lap. An absolutely classic Atlanta finish to that race. Is Roulette now coming under fire from Jeffrey Bogan, who's not that far behind in the 21.
They work their way around Jose Viguera right now.
And there's Viguera in the 48 on the outside line. The first car not on the lead lap is that 48 of Viguera. Samard has opened up a 4-second lead as we get close to the pit cycle here on ESPN. You're watching round number 8 action here from Sim Racer's Edge, the Alpha Series from Phoenix. We'll be back in just a moment. Chad Simpson, the race leader in pit road here on lap 133 of 186 from Phoenix Raceway. Dale Weiser jumps back into the race lead, but Chris Simard momentarily will be the man who cycles back out in front of this race that begins the second half of Season 3 for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. As Dale Weiser comes in pit road now, pit cycle is all but complete. Kevin O'Brien, the last of the drivers on track that have not come in here on this run of green flag pit stops.
And that's kind of normal for O'Brien. One of the best at saving every drop of fuel he can in those tanks. But we're going to see how this one actually does cycle out, as that is your race leader coming up on Butch Davis and yeah,
Chris Simard.
Simard coming up on Davis and Grandy.
So there goes Grandy down to the inside. Dale Weiser coming out of pit road. Butch Davis now leaving way on the outside to go a lap down once again in the number 43. Jari Brupatcher has jumped up into the second position through the pit cycle. Brupatcher coming in on lap 129. Chad Simpson coming in 3 laps later on 132 has dropped him down to third. And just as we went to break, one man who did have a little bit of an issue, that would be the 6 of Tim Bates, as we'll show you what happened here, as he's already down and off the racing surface. Is Tim Bates. We'll back that up a little bit more to show you what happened as he's coming into turn 3 and 4 here. It's Chris Walker in the 23 in front of him, and Bates just got a little too close to a car pitting.
And we are back under caution.
Looks as though we are. So that big 8.5 second lead that Chris Simard had built up through this pit cycle is now gone, as it appears to be Mike Sturgill yet again has had an issue, and that looks like big damage. We'll go to the replay here of what happened to that number 90. Hits the outside wall, comes back, hits the wall again hard, and I believe, oh boy, Chad Simpson caught a lot of that.
I thought that's what I was seeing. Oh,
yep,
yeah.
Chad Simpson damaged heavily off of that. Riding on board with Simpson to see what happened. Oh, that's net code in the worst of ways. My goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I both could have stood in between those two cars as Simpson was passing Sturgill.
Oh, my. That's darn near criminal right there.
Yep.
Look at how much space is between the four. You could have parked a city bus in between those two.
Well, like I was saying, you, myself, Byron, and Sam, all 4 of us could have stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder between those two cars.
And there still would have been room.
Mm-hmm.
Sam and I are, Byron and I are a couple of big guys, too.
I'm no skinny guy myself.
But you're limited by the chair, so actually you'd be a little bit wider than both of us on that case.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could have been sitting there in my chair, and the 3 of you could have been standing shoulder to shoulder next to me, or, well, shoulder to elbow in my case.
Shoulder to waist, I think.
No, my head would have been right about where your elbow is.
As Jeffrey Roulette, the only one to stay out here under this caution flag, so that will mean Chris Simard, Jari Brupatcher, and Jeffrey Bogan are the top 3 drivers that are fresh on tires and fuel. Butch Davis, after getting the wave around, is back on the lead lap, coming into pit now. And Davis will have to start at the tail end of the field. But I will say, through all the nonsense of the net code that was that wreck, very good job there by Mike Sturgill not to just bring it down the racetrack and keep that wheel held right to stay in as close to the wall as he possibly could.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, that sportsmanship right there to know that, yeah, my race is over, but I don't want to try to purposely affect anyone else's race by just completely taking them out under caution.
It would have been a lot worse if he hadn't have done that.
Very.
We get set to go back to green flag racing here as Dale Weiser, Ernie Ludwig, and Chris Walker will all get wave arounds. And for the first time tonight, it will be Jeffrey Roulette leading the field. Chris Simard, Yari Brupatcher, the top three here tonight. Simard, really the only one of the big hitters that has not found some sort of trouble.
So, Chris, you can find Frank over in California. I
allegedly
text me after the race. I can PM you his address.
It's not going to be the right address for much longer.
Lights are out on the official iRacing pace car. Roulette has the button as the field works its way out of turn number 4. He holds him down a little bit till he can get it pointed straight. Green flag is out, and we are back underway.
So Jeffrey Roulette breaking away by about a half a second as we're used to seeing here. Chris Simard, Yari Brupatcher, Jeffrey Bogan, Dan Brazington right there as well. Chad Simpson's in the middle of this group here, but he is one lap down in the 9th position. Good news for him is he is the first car one lap down. So if he cannot get his lap back the hard way, he will have the lucky dog at least for the moment.
And for that matter, too, he's only one of 2 cars one lap down. Everybody else
Jose
2
Figueroa.
or more. Right. And everybody else 2 or more laps down. As Simard not really making a lot of headway in the early salvo here, even with 9-lap newer tires than Jeffrey Roulette.
He's a tire advantage. He has a fuel advantage, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Roulette can make it from here, because when he pit, there were 46 laps to go, and that's right around the time when the fuel window started to open. So we know that guys like Simard, Brupatcher, Bogan, all the guys that came in during this most recent caution, we know they can make it. Roulette might be an interesting case, though.
Well, the good news is if he does attempt to do that, we're not going to see a green-white checker finish. And if he was smart, he turned the fuel mix way down during that caution to save as much as he possibly could behind the pace car.
We just got proof there that Butch Davis is not going to be much of a fight the remaining laps of this race, as he's just gotten passed by Dale Weiser in that number 24, and it was not that long ago that Butch Davis was absolutely flying past Dale Weiser as if he were standing still.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are trying to get it sorted out right now. Closest battle on track is going to be your battle for third between Yari Brupatcher and Jeff Bogan. A couple car lengths between those two, though.
Chris and Chad Simpson of little consequence behind Bogan, so he's most likely going to chill out just there, as Chris Simard keeping a very, very patient half a second gap between himself and Chris Simard, not really between himself and Jeffrey Roulette, pardon me, as he's just closely stalking that number 66.
Well, he's going to have to be careful because he doesn't want to dawdle too much. As the battle for Brupatcher and Bogan, as hot and heavy as that is, they could reel him in very easily.
That is getting a little bit closer, by the way, these two. See, Brupatcher does have a little bit better run there, being that car up in the front. Jeffrey Roulette we have seen Roulette fall off quite a significant amount the longer this run goes on, and we've seen Chris Simard appear to get stronger as this run goes on, so that could also be something that Simard is waiting for. Don't chew the tires up too much. He will fall off a lot quicker than you're expecting him to.
And you take a look at the line Simard's running through 3 and 4. He's using that preferred outside lane, so he doesn't have to pinch the car off quite as much in the middle of the corner, just letting it run, and then taking the out approach to turn 1. So, Simard's running a very intelligent race right now.
He absolutely is. He's starting to make his move now. He's as close as he's been since the cue on the restart, as he looks down to the outside of Jeffrey Roulette in the 66, and around he goes. Chris Simard back to the race lead, looking for win number 1 this season.
Absolutely, as Bogan really applying the pressure right now to Brapatcher. Looks to the inside coming through off of 4, not going to make it happen, as that is Brazington trying to deal with the lap car of Chad Simpson right now behind them.
Simpson holding station right there, not really putting up too much of a fight with the guys in front of him. Actually lets Dan Brazington go at this point. Chris Simard, what a season he has had thus far. He's finished second these last 2 weeks. Also came home in second back at New Hampshire. His worst finish of the season, 18th at Watkins Glen. That was by far and away his worst schedule. Finish, pardon me. He's finished in the top 10 in all but that race this season, and second position on the podium in the last 2.
Big moment for Jeff Bogan going into 3, almost gets into the safer barrier. That's going to give Brapatcher a little bit of breathing room as they work their way back into turn number 1. Bogan's got to be careful. Watch the back end of that car as he comes onto the dog leg. You can see that car actually bounce. That's how violent a transition that is.
It is a very difficult transition, as we had noted before. It's very, very rigid. Well, these cars are very, very rigid, and that's not a smooth move onto the banking. And again, even off the banking there, it just drops you right down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the back end of that car completely bounces and like a basketball. And like you said, as rigid as these cars are sprung, because they have to be because of the wings that are on them, that's not something you want to do too much or too deep into a fuel run, because the car gets light, the car gets tail happy during the later part of a fuel run, and the tires have already worn out. So you've got to be real careful, and we're getting to that point where the tires are starting to wear out.
Gary Brapatcher using the slow up from the lap car of Jose Viguera to get right up to the back end of Jeffrey Roulette, as Brapatcher right now looking for that second position. Second quickest car of the drivers that are up here in the top 10 remaining, on the lead lap, I should say. As Brapatcher blows turn 1 and 2 just a little bit, and that will move Roulette back out to about 0.4 of a second ahead. Now make it 0.6 of a second ahead, as Brapatcher just does not get the run in 3 and 4.
Yeah, absolutely. But fastest lap of the race that last time by, wow, Dale Weiser, 20.804.
Weiser, Brazington, and Roulette, the 3 fastest drivers on that lap. As Roulette not quite as quick. Dale Weiser, once again, fastest of all on that lap at a 20.92. So that 24 starting to make a move up as he gets around Jose Viguera. Dan Brazington about 2.5 seconds ahead of Weiser at this current moment. And right now, Chris Simard starting to stretch his legs out. A 1.2 second advantage over Jeffrey Roulette, and growing at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And Samard's not pushing as hard as we've seen him push. He's just turning laps right now and making sure he stays out of trouble, which has been the MO of the event, as we've seen 3 of the 5 guys that have led laps have issues.
Absolutely is. Looking at the points scenario right now, 22 points are awarded to the driver who finishes in 9th. 35 are awarded to the driver who wins the race. So that's already a 13-point advantage. Each driver gets 1 for having led a lap. Simpson, gets another 2 for having taken the pole. And then most laps led gets another 1. So it's about a 13-point swing in favor of Chris Simard if the race were to finish the way it is right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there a 5-point bonus for winning the race? Let me go look.
No, there's not a finishing, but there is another 1 point for finishing with 0 incident points. So this could be a 14-point swing for Chris Simard in favor of Chris Simard. So that would put him 7 points behind going into Laguna Seca next week.
Actually, there is a 5-point bonus. There is a 5-point bonus for winning.
Oh, so it'd be a 2-point swing in that case. So it'll be quite a night here for Chris Simard, and it's exactly the night that he was needing as Jeffrey Bogan now starting to fall under pressure from Dan Brazington in the 29. So we'll go on board with Dan. Brazington, one of those guys taking the dog leg. And it's working for him, at least for the moment. Takes that inside line through 3 and 4. Not able to gain too much, but he is slowly gaining on that number 21.
Yeah, absolutely is. Most laps led 1 point. 1 point for leading a lap.
2 points for pole.
2 points for pole, 0 for incidents.
Yeah, 1 point for 0 incidents.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do take that back.
So it's a 7-point swing. The 7 points difference between Simpson and Simard if the race were to finish this way, as Ernie Ludwig comes into pit road, and that could mess with this a little bit, as now that moves Chad Simpson up into 8th position.
Well, you kind of expected that to happen, as Ludwig had to stay out to get back on the lead lap that last caution, and he just did 60 laps.
Butch Davis right now 8 seconds ahead of Simpson. That's another position, so that could move Simpson up into 7th spot, which would mean a 12-point swing instead of a 14-point swing, gaining those 2 spots.
He would have to pass Davis and then pass him again. Simpson's still a lap down.
Yeah, and Butch Davis right now is a lap down, or at least is.
He's about to be. He's not a lap down yet.
No, he's just about. And so when Simard passes him, they'll be on the same lap, and all I have to do is catch him. As Brazington still trying to work on Jeffrey Bogan. Meanwhile, Yari Brupatcher still trying to work on Jeffrey Roulette in the 2nd position. As we have 8 laps to go, Chris Simard 1.8 seconds clear of this battle, allowing him to get away nicely. Yep, 7 laps to go, and you see a little bit of the Phoenix snake, I guess you'll say, between Roulette and Brupatcher down the front stretch.
Sure, why not? We'll go with that.
Brazenton now working that outside lane, trying to get around Jeffrey Bogan. Just can't quite seem to get close enough to make a move, but a solid top 5 finish for Dan Brazenton on the cards, possibly because Dale Weiser's coming up and coming up quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Weiser's on a charge right now, so these guys are going to have to get that sorted out pretty quick. But if he can hold on to a top 5 finish, that's going to definitely make the father-in-law pretty proud. And, of course, we are talking about the 29 of Dan Brazenton.
Absolutely. Ernie Ludwig battling with Jose Vigera. That for position. This for 9th with 5 laps to go. And Ludwig on the fresh tires. Vigera pinching him down. Leaves the space. Loses 9th. As we head into the closing stages of this race here, Chris Simard, 3 laps to go once we hit the line here, trying to get around Kevin O'Brien to put him another lap down. And this has been the race that Chris Simard has needed. Second, and what appears to be a win just 2 laps away.
And something just happened to Roulette.
Yep, Roulette having to come into pit road. And I had mentioned this as the race was starting to play out. So Roulette now going to have to relinquish that second position. And Chris Simard will come through turns 3 and 4 to complete the to start the final lap. Pardon me. Simard, who has been so close these last couple of weeks, has finished side by side with the race leader for the win these last couple of races. He's not going to be side by side with anybody this week. Chris Simard comes off of corner number 4. He will win round number 8 here at Phoenix. And a big points day after a lot of misfortune all throughout the field tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the wilder races that we've seen this season, with, just the guys getting run over from behind under caution, or, netcode raising havoc with everybody. But yeah, definitely a great finish there for Simard.
Great run as Simard burns it down. There's Jeffrey Bogan. Jeffrey Roulette finishing his race. Speaking of Jeffrey Bogan, matching a career high, finishing 3rd both at the Indy 500 last season and at Chicagoland last season, and Jari Bruphatcher, a career best 2nd place finish here tonight. As we'll try to get these guys in right now for interviews post-race. And I believe, Tony, you are with Chris Simard right now.
Chris Simard, you finally got the monkey off your back this season. Congratulations on winning here in Phoenix.
Oh man, thank you. That was hard work there. So it was a lot of fun. When I get out in the lead, it was a lot of fun. So I don't sound excited, but I am. So I'm kind of tired too. So
exactly. I mean, after a race like that, nobody can blame you for being just flat out exhausted. Now, you had to be kind of sweating bullets there. 3 of the 5 guys that had led laps here tonight all ended up getting put into a dumpster fire before we got to halfway. What were your thoughts when you saw all hell breaking loose around you?
Well, first off, I screwed up in pit road there, my first pit stop, and spun it out, and glad I didn't hit the wall. And then I don't know, Mike Sturgill, he got run over there. He looked like he was going to be one of the fastest. I don't know if I could have gotten by him, but and then I don't really know what happened there at the end with Chad and Butch and everyone. So I saw Chris Walker hit the wall and stay up there, but I don't really know what happened to him. So
Well, again, congratulations on winning here tonight. But moving forward, we are going to be at Laguna Seca next week. Your thoughts as we head to the home of the Corkscrew?
Um, I really screw up a lot at the road courses, so if I can just stay on the track, that would be awesome. I'm getting better at it. It's just some things I have to learn better. I'm not trying to run really hard. I'm trying to run the racetrack, but it just these road courses are hard for me. They shouldn't be, but they are. But hopefully, I'll do well. So a top 5, top 4 would be nice. So
just put in laps and concentrating on keeping it on the blacktop next week, and you'll be okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, Chris, before we let you go celebrate with your team, your first win of the season, which is going to be a huge help in the point standings after tonight, is there anybody you need to thank?
I just like to thank you guys up in the booth. You guys do a great job with the broadcast. All of our sponsors for the league, I probably missed some, but Turn Racing, Sim Motion, Raise Energy, ESPN, Inside Sim Racing. There's a lot more that I forgot. My teammates, I feel bad that both of them got into wrecks tonight, but hopefully we'll do well next week. My sponsor, Rocket Racing Setups. There's a few more, but I can't remember. My wife and son, and everyone that watches, my family watches at a weekly basis, and it's awesome to finally get that win. So,
all right, Chris, go celebrate with your wife and kiss that trophy girl for us, and we'll see you next week at Laguna Seca.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, guys.
So that was your race winner, Chris Simard, on his first race win of the season. Next, we'll bring in someone we've been waiting to talk to here for quite some time. That would be Jari Brupatcher. Jari, you had a great run here tonight. Career best second place finish. Congratulations, bud.
Yeah, thank you very much. Been waiting to get into the booth here, and been quite close in the past, but it never really worked out. Surprised it's here at Phoenix, because Phoenix isn't really one of my strong tracks, but I guess once you get into that dirty air, it's just a train basically with people following each other.
It looked as though you had found something here that not a lot of people were able to find, and a way to keep the tires on the car for the longer runs. What did you find during the race that just made you so much better on the long runs than everybody else?
I think I tried to keep a little bit of a gap, especially in the beginning of the stint, to the guy in front. I knew the guy behind wouldn't be able to pass, so I let a gap to the guy in front and saved the tires a little bit for maybe 10, 15 laps, and I think that helped me later on in the run.
All right, next week we head back to a road course. I believe it's only the second road course that we have been to this season. It'll be WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. What are your thoughts going into a track that is very, very well known and very well run here on the iRacing service?
Yeah, I think everybody knows the track really well, so it's not that people have to learn it. In general, I prefer the ovals, or I do like road course racing, but I'm better at the ovals. I think Laguna Seca is one of the tracks I do better at usually, so I hope I can get maybe a top 10 would be nice on a road course, maybe even more, who knows.
Well, you certainly had a great run tonight. Is there anybody you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate a career best finish?
I just want to thank everybody in the league, the people racing, the people organizing, you guys in the booth. It's really fun to come here every week and race.
All right, there is your second place finisher tonight, Jari Brupatcher. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and with that, we will now bring in our third place finisher, Jeffrey Bogan. Tony, you are with him right now.
Jeff Bogan, all things considered, you can't be too disappointed with a podium finish here tonight at one of the toughest tracks we're going to visit all season.
Oh, absolutely not. Little shocked, to be honest. Wasn't overly happy. Wasn't comfortable in the car in the multiple practices. Obviously, this race was originally supposed to run a couple weeks ago, so we had a ton of practice time. I was never quite comfortable. Hit on something last night, and yeah, talking to you now. Good day.
Well, you hit on something last night, and you were able to not hit on something today, which seemed to have been the case with some of the faster cars here tonight. They just got caught up in dumpster fires, and you were able to survive and keep that car nice and clean. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And I believe this is your first podium of the season, isn't it?
No,
Third.
At least second, maybe third.
Yeah. But again,
It's been a minute.
Congratulations on the podium, and congratulations on getting that bonus point for 0 incidents tonight, which is not an easy feat, especially with as tight as the front straightaway here is at Phoenix.
Oh yeah, you know my MO, guys. I'm just trying to stay clean for 3/4 of the race, and then put the hammer down for the last little bit and see what we can get. Because if you can't get to the checkered flag, you ain't gonna finish very well. So got it done tonight. Was very happy. Come away with this one. You don't mind? Let me give a quick shout out to
Go ahead.
My son's in there listening right now. Tyrus, what's up? Take your butt to bed. I've had my mom's actually been watching. So hi mom, love you. Shout out to my bro, teammates. Thank you guys. Had some fun.
Well, Jeff, we go from one of the most difficult ovals we're going to see all season to arguably one of the most difficult road courses we're ever going to experience next week as we go to the dreaded Laguna Seca and throw these things off the two-story drop that is the corkscrew. Your thoughts going into that race next week?
Oh, boys, I'm super excited to get there. I love that track. I've been racing that track for a long time. I know every inch of it. I'm ready to go.
All right. Well,
I know that ain't the answer you were expecting, but I love that track, boys.
The first thought that went through my mind was, so you're a masochist?
No, I love that track, man. It's a very technical track. There's some high-speed turns in it. There's some low speed, obviously the corkscrew. Turn 1, real slow. Looking forward to it, man. I actually love that track. So,
all right.
Let's get
Jeff, again, congratulations on your first podium in quite a while.
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody else you need to thank before we let you go?
No, I got everything, but just in case, I know my mom's actually been watching a little bit. She's up in a home up in Virginia. Love you, Mom. Love to have you watching. Hope you had a good time. Thanks, guys.
All right. Congratulations, Jeff. We'll see you next week in Laguna Seca.
Yes, sir.
Third place finisher tonight, Jeffrey Daddy Buzzkill Bogan. As we
True story.
So
Wow.
as we wind down here tonight, what a race we saw. A lot of drama, especially under the very few cautions that we had here tonight. I believe only 3 cautions here tonight. Seemed like a race where the leader was cursed, but Chris Simard, once he got it, never let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Simard showed patience here tonight, stayed out of trouble, which is very difficult to do here at Phoenix. But bad news for Simard. He did get dinged 2 incident points for that pseudo spin going onto pit road under the first green flag pit stop.
So he'll lose the 0 incident points, bonus point there. Same with Chad Simpson not getting the 0 incident points either. So as we'll go now to the final results here for tonight's race, it'll be Chris Simard taking his first win of the season, 3rd unique VSM driver to win a race this season. Yari Brubhatcher, Jeffrey Bogan, you've heard from those two rounding out the podium. Dan Brazenton and Dale Weiser coming home in the top 5. Butch Davis, Chad Simpson, Jeffrey Roulette, Ernie Ludwig, and Jose Viguera rounding out the top 10, with Butch Davis just barely the last car on the lead lap. Kevin O'Brien and Chris Walker rounding out the top 12.
13th goes to Mike Grandy, Shane Leverage in 14th. Mike Sturgill, just a night he'd soon forget, coming home in 15th. Timmy Bates, same for him. coming home in 16th. Carl Burke, 17th. Mark McFadden in 18th. 19th going to Will Fletcher. 20th to Michael Bourne. Johnny Antonucci in 21st. And Ronnie Osmer, the first retiree, in 22nd.
Yep, and that's pretty much from 15th on down. Did not finish the race here tonight. So with that, that will pretty much do it here for tonight's broadcast. Coming up this week, the TNT Truck Series heads to Talladega for the second to last race of the season for them, followed by the DOB 410 Sprint Series. They will be at Kokomo starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The Big Block Series will be at Eldora right after that. On Friday, the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series returns to Talladega. That'll be at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And the question of E-Formula this weekend is still up in the air, but we'll let you know coming up at the next couple of broadcasts whether what we'll be doing this Saturday. We know we don't have anything on Sunday, but this Saturday is still up in the air. So that will do it for us here tonight. We will see you tomorrow night for both the TNT Truck Series and the DOB Dirt Series. We will see you right here next week for Sim Racers Edge at WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. And as we wrap up here, we still have a good 25 minutes left in the Endurance for Amateurs Series, round number 2 at Okayama. Close racing all throughout the field there. It's been incredibly exciting to watch over the course of the last 15 minutes we've been doing these interviews or so. So still 25 minutes. Go over there, support those guys, support Sam and Byron as they wind down the last 25 minutes of the Endurance for Amateurs Series. Have a fantastic night, everybody. We will see you tomorrow from Talladega and for DOB and next week for Laguna Seca. Have a good night, everybody.